What happens when a fearless Navy captain challenges Donald Trump with one unexpected question on live camera in front of the entire military base? What followed wasn't rehearsed, wasn't filtered, but it sparked a nationwide conversation that no one saw coming. You won't believe how he responded. It started as a routine military visit, but what happened in the next 10 minutes would shake the internet and ignite a nationwide conversation no one saw coming. Former President Donald Trump was visiting a Navy base in San Diego as part of a Veterans Appreciation event. The media was there, military officers stood in formation, and flags fluttered proudly in the California breeze. Everyone expected another formal handshake tour, polite smiles, a few speeches, some clapping, and the usual photo ops. But deep within the rows of disciplined, decorated officers stood someone who would change the tone of the entire day. Her name? Captain Sarah Jennings. Just 30 years old, Captain Jennings had already made a name for herself in the Navy. Smart, disciplined, and fiercely respected among her peers, she was the kind of officer who led by example. She wasn't the loudest, she wasn't looking for attention, but when she spoke, people listened. And on that day, she was determined to do more than just smile for the camera. As Trump moved down the line greeting service members, Sarah's turn came. He reached out for a handshake with his usual charm, but before he could move on, Sarah spoke up. Calm, confident, and respectful, she asked, "Mr. President, in your opinion, what does real leadership mean when the country feels more divided than ever?" The air changed instantly. Nearby officers turned their heads. Cameras shifted focus. Trump paused. For a moment, the energetic former president said nothing. He studied Sarah, her posture, her sincerity, her bravery to ask something real in a room where small talk was expected. Then, without the usual media-filtered polish, Trump answered. "That's a powerful question, Captain," he said, "and I'm glad you asked it, because real leadership, especially in times like these, starts with listening, not just speaking." And just like that, a real conversation began. What started as a handshake turned into an open, unscripted dialogue between one of the most talked about leaders in the world and a young woman in uniform who wasn't afraid to ask the tough questions. Sarah didn't hold back, but she didn't disrespect either. She asked about leadership during division, about supporting female officers in high command, about what it means to lead with principle when the pressure to please everyone is overwhelming. Trump didn't dodge or dance around it. He responded with raw, sometimes surprisingly personal answers, acknowledging the challenges of leading under scrutiny, the mistakes he's learned from, and the strength it takes to make unpopular decisions for the sake of principle. The conversation grew deeper, drawing a quiet crowd. Phones were raised, cameras began rolling, and soon a dozen officers stood in silence, listening to two people from vastly different worlds share an honest exchange about responsibility, integrity, and service. At one point, Sarah mentioned her experiences mentoring young female cadets and the struggles they face trying to earn respect in male-dominated environments. Trump nodded, then said, "I've met women tougher than most men I know. Real leadership doesn't come from gender. It comes from guts, discipline, and consistency. And from where I stand, you've got all three." Those words hit differently, not because they came from a former president, but because they were genuine. Trump wasn't performing. Sarah wasn't debating. It was just truth being exchanged between two people who cared deeply about the direction of their country. The conversation ended with Trump shaking Sarah's hand again and saying, "Keep asking the hard questions, Captain. That's how we grow." The video went viral within hours. Clips of their conversation flooded social media. News channels picked it up and aired it across networks. People from both political sides weighed in, but this time it wasn't with anger. It was with curiosity, respect, even admiration. Hashtags like "Hey Captain Jennings" and "A Real Talk" with Trump trended for days. Thousands of comments poured in, not about conflict or outrage, but about how refreshing it was to see real dialogue happen between people who represented leadership in very different forms. Sarah was interviewed by several outlets afterward. When asked why she spoke up, she simply said, "Because that's what leaders do. We speak up, respectfully, boldly, and with purpose." Trump also referenced the moment during a later rally. "Captain Jennings reminded me of what real courage looks like. Not everyone in uniform is a warrior in battle. Some are warriors in thought and conviction. She was both." That one conversation became a symbol, a reminder that even in times of division, real conversations, without scripts, without cameras, without filters, can still happen. It reminded people that leadership isn't about titles or fame, but about authenticity and courage, no matter who you are. Captain Sarah Jennings went back to duty the next day. She didn't ask for attention, didn't post anything herself, but her voice had already reached millions. In a world full of noise, she proved that one respectful question can cut through it all, and maybe even change the conversation for good. And that's how a young Navy captain and a former president created a moment that no one expected, but no one will forget. If this story inspired you or made you think, don't forget to like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel for more real stories that matter. And make sure to turn on the bell icon so you never miss a new upload. Thank you for watching.